Newly elected Premier Jason Kenney will sit down with Ontario Premier Doug Ford at Queen's Park today. Andrew Bell is joining us from BNN Bloomberg this morning. What a meeting that will be.
There'll be some choice salvos for the Prime Minister.
100%. You know, listening to Jason Kenney's acceptance speech on the night that he won very recently, lots of echoes from Doug Ford's speech from when he won the premiership in Ontario.
Yes, I mean, this is a confrontational style. I mean, within 2 days of being elected or taking office as Alberta's Premier, Jason Kenney came to Ottawa and immediately warning about a threat to national unity, he says, from the Prime Minister's policy of subjecting in big infrastructure projects to a new way of assessing them, bringing climate change into account in some cases, for example. And, of course, he's frustrated over the pipelines, but he came out with all guns blazing.
He sure did. He threatened to turn off the taps for BC.
Yeah.
What can we expect to be on the agenda with he and Doug Ford today?
Probably just more on their strategy for fighting the carbon tax, because now the federal government, if Mr. Kenney gets rid of Alberta's carbon tax put in by his predecessor, Mr. Trudeau will then be free to, maybe obliged to go in and impose his own federal carbon tax. Probably the tragedy here, though, is that there's been a breakdown in what was widely seen as a deal. Alberta agreed to a cap on its carbon emissions from the oil sands, and the understanding was that the federal government would get pipelines built. And the oil industry, perhaps with some justification, and Mr. Kenney are saying, well, where's the pipelines?
Yeah, exactly. I remember that cover of Maclean's that had just the word "the resistance," and Jason Kenney and Doug Ford both being there as well. They're also going to talk about a federal bill that could overhaul environmental
that's a sore point too, as are federal restrictions on oil tankers off the BC coast. So that'll come up as well. I mean, it's a tough one for the Prime Minister. I mean, obviously, it's a cliche. He's got to bring all these constituencies together. But Mr. Kenney was very quick to evoke shades of Mr. Trudeau's father and the national energy policy.
Oh, yes.
I mean, he went for all the tools yesterday.
That still stings in Alberta. And when I go back home to visit people, you know, they call him little Justin or little Pierre. Because the middle finger to the province of Alberta was tough. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks a lot.